Transgender TikToker and activist Lily Tino is reportedly stepping away from social media after intense backlash off the back of her going into bathrooms at Disneyland in Florida, recording whilst in the bathrooms.
Today we're going to talk about something super important, what it means to be transgender. It's a big word, but I promise that it's easy to understand. Ready to learn? The first thing I want you to do is close your eyes. Now think, do you feel like a boy, a girl, or a little bit of both?
I feel scared.
Do you have your answer? Great.
So, to kind of give you a little bit of context, Tino is actually being investigated by the Florida Attorney General for allegedly violating Florida's statute 810.145, which prohibits unauthorized video recordings in private spaces, like restrooms, for example, which is exactly where she did.
Now think, do you feel like a boy, a girl, or a little bit of both? Now I want you to imagine that everyone keeps telling you that you're something else. Wouldn't that make you sad inside? People who feel like this are transgender.
It's caused such a stir that she is being investigated by the federal police because essentially she's broken the law.
Here are some questions I've been getting about how that works. The first question I get is, wait, don't you need your cake pops? They make testosterone, right? Yes, but I'm taking a medication right now that actually suppresses them from making testosterone. So no, I don't need them. I take estrogen already. Next question I get is, will the stick still work?
Now I want you to imagine that everyone keeps telling you that you're something else, even though in your heart, you know who you are. Wouldn't that make you sad inside? People who feel like this are transgender. And if you're not transgender, it's super easy to be friends with someone who is. Let's take our imaginary friend Theo, for example. One day you notice that Theo starts wearing girl clothes instead of boy clothes, and then they tell you that they want to be called Lou.
And the investigation was triggered by Tino's TikTok videos posted between May 26th and June 2nd, showing selfies and content being filmed in women's restrooms at Walt Disney World.
If the cake pop is removed, yes, they're not making testosterone even now, and the cake pop stick works very well. So once they're gone, there won't be an issue. The next question is this removal basically step one of the big one, the big removal? You know what I'm saying? And the answer is no. I'm not really thinking too hard about that. I don't know if I want it.
So, Lily Tino just hit back at every single rumor and accusation that's been floating around about her for the last couple years. And the response? Let's just say it's left people even more divided than before. From being accused of inappropriate behavior at Disneyland, to old Discord posts, to that one Reddit comment from when she was 18 that resurfaced. Lily addressed all of it, and then some. She denied ever stalking anyone, insisted she's never been married, called the petition to ban her pointless, and even brought up how people twisted her words and past clips without proof. But the way she did it, that's what really got everyone talking. It wasn't just a calm sit-down. It was part confrontation, part comedy, part I said what I said energy. And then came the twist. She announced she's taking a break, citing burnout, emotional exhaustion, and what she called years of hate. Now, some fans are sympathetic.
Where other women and children were actually visible within the content and in the background without their prior consent. And obviously these videos raised serious privacy concerns and led to accusations of illegal recording.
Others say this is all just a tactic, another way to avoid owning up to the more serious stuff she never really apologized for. And then there's the interview with Mariah May K, which raised even more eyebrows. From misgendering debates to what counts as art to speculation about historical figures, Lily stood her ground, but not without controversy. So buckle up, because this is not just a story about one viral creator. It's a deeper look into how internet fame, accountability, and controversy all collide in real time. Lily Tino didn't just dip her toe into the controversy, she dove right in. After staying silent through months of mounting criticism, she finally broke her silence with a full response video. And let's be honest, nobody saw this kind of clapback coming. Right from the jump, Lily hit back at some of the most bizarre claims made about her over the years. She said she's never had a child, never been married, and absolutely, definitively has never stalked an ex. She even poked fun at an AI-generated report that she says sparked some of the wildest rumors. With a mix of sarcasm and deadpan delivery, she threw shade at the people who kept recycling those same copy-paste comments, calling them absurd and totally baseless. But even in that sarcastic tone, there was something deeper, a clear message that she's fed up with being painted as a villain with no proof. And to her credit, a lot of the allegations being thrown around online did seem to lack receipts.
And if convicted, Tino could actually face up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Now, this probe currently is state level, so that means that, the state is currently investigating it.
From people confusing her identity with someone named Nick, to others insisting she was fired from jobs or facing legal charges, Lily came prepared with timestamps, dates, and facts that contradicted those claims. Still, while she knocked down the easier rumors with ease, there were others that didn't go away so easily. Because even though some of the internet's more outrageous claims were easy to debunk, one thing kept coming up again and again: the Disney bathroom drama. And that wasn't something she could just laugh off. But that's where things started to get way more serious. This was the scandal that really lit the fuse. While the internet was already buzzing with rumors, it was Lily Tino's Disney World bathroom content that took things from controversial to explosive. And the outrage wasn't just loud, it was organized. We're talking petitions, call-out videos, and creators demanding that Lily be banned from every major platform. So what actually happened? In one of her streams, Lily reportedly took selfies inside the women's restroom at Disney with other people in the background. The internet erupted, accusing her of violating both park rules and basic privacy. And given the already heated climate around trans creators, this was the last thing people were willing to overlook. Lily responded by brushing it off. She claimed she wasn't being sued. She insisted she didn't do anything illegal. And she seemed genuinely confused about why everyone was so mad. But that's exactly what made people more mad.
Off the back of that, Tino has basically, laughed at it throughout their TikTok videos. I made a video about this a couple of days ago, going over the most recent videos that they've made and how it's they're not taking it particularly seriously.
Critics argued that even if no lawsuit was filed, taking any kind of content, especially photos, in a public bathroom without consent was just not okay. To make matters worse, people started pointing out that Disney is primarily a family park. Whether that's technically true across all areas or not, the perception stuck, and when you mix that with jokes about anatomy and metaphors using food items like corn dogs and cake pops, people weren't just calling it inappropriate, they were calling it dangerous. Then came the petition. Over 500,000 signatures demanding Lily's removal from TikTok. But, as she herself pointed out in the video, TikTok doesn't ban people over petitions. They look at policy violations, and technically, Lily hadn't broken any of their terms of service. So while the backlash was massive, the platform didn't budge. Still, even if TikTok didn't act, the public judgment was already in motion. And for a lot of people, this wasn't about one video, it was about a pattern. And that's when people started using one word to describe her content: rage bait. This is where the conversation around Lily Tino really started to shift. For months, critics had been accusing her of one thing above all: rage bait. That's when a creator intentionally stirs up controversy, outrage, or shock just to boost engagement. And to a lot of people, Lily wasn't just guilty of this, she was the blueprint. The corn dog metaphors, the cake pop analogies, the educational lessons filmed smack in the middle of Disney World.
But the likelihood of Lily Tino at this current time being charged under Florida's statutes for unauthorized recordings, it completely depends on several factors. But based on the available information, there is a strong possibility of charges actually being filed.
It didn't take long for people to start questioning whether Lily was actually trying to raise awareness, or if she was just pushing buttons to go viral. Especially when she admitted that she knew the kind of reaction she'd get from some of these videos. And the timing didn't help her case either. Because shortly after she posted her full response video, clips resurfaced from her streams where she discussed not wanting to dial things down, because that would make her content boring. Critics took that as a clear admission that controversy was part of the plan. But Lily pushed back. She insisted that everything she posts is rooted in education. She talked about growing up on shows like Good Eats and Mythbusters, where serious topics were presented with humor, visuals, and creativity. She claimed her goal wasn't to offend, it was to engage. Still, for a lot of people, the issue wasn't the message, it was the setting. Because if you're going to talk about gender-affirming surgery, maybe doing it with suggestive metaphors while surrounded by kids at Disneyland isn't the best move. And when she brushed off the criticism with lines like, "Disney isn't just for children," it came off to many as dismissive, or worse, defiant. And whether she meant it or not, that defiance only added fuel to the fire, because it made critics more determined to expose what they saw as a manipulative content strategy disguised as activism. But just when it felt like things couldn't get any more intense, she did a full interview, and everything changed. Right when the backlash was reaching its peak, Lily Tino sat down for a one-on-one interview with another trans creator, Mariah May K. On paper, it looked like the perfect setup for a more nuanced, community-centered conversation. But in reality, it turned into one of the most awkward and revealing exchanges Lily's ever had. And not always in the way she intended.
But the legal grounds for the charges, so the statute actually prohibits unauthorized video recordings in private spaces like restrooms, for example, where individuals have reasonable expectation for privacy. Violations face up to 5 years in prison, of course, and a $5,000 fine for the felony offense.
From the very start, the interview pulled no punches. The first question, "What is your definition of a woman?" That set the tone fast. Lily answered in a way that echoed many progressive views, that if someone identifies as a woman, then they are one. But critics felt her response was more about playing defense than offering insight, and things only got more tense from there. The conversation quickly shifted to the darker corners of Lily's past. Mariah brought up allegations of inappropriate comments, a Reddit account tied to discriminatory remarks, and that infamous clip where Lily allegedly says the N-word while trying to say her dog's name. Lily denied having any malicious intent and chalked it up to being an edgy teen chasing shock humor. But when asked point blank if she was ever going to publicly apologize, she sidestepped. That didn't sit well with a lot of people, especially since Lily has consistently demanded apologies from others for misgendering her, even when it's accidental. The double standard wasn't lost on viewers. If she expected accountability from others, why couldn't she offer it herself? But the interview wasn't just about past mistakes. It also spotlighted some of Lily's most controversial choices, like filming in Disney bathrooms and using sexually suggestive language in children's spaces. Mariah asked why she couldn't just make that content somewhere else, somewhere less charged. Lily's response? She said she loves Disney. She said it's visually fun, colorful, and full of props she can use to teach. It didn't help. That answer, paired with her refusal to acknowledge why people found it inappropriate, made her look tone-deaf at best and reckless at worst. And yet, even after all that, there were still questions she refused to answer. For someone who claimed she was finally setting the record straight, Lily Tino left a lot of key questions unanswered. And if anything, it was the things she didn't say that left the biggest impression. Let's start with the N-word controversy. In one clip, Lily appeared to say something that sounded disturbingly close to a slur, something she claimed was an accident involving her dog's name, Nugget. And while many agreed it seemed like a genuine slip, what frustrated people was her total refusal to address it publicly in her response. No apology, no clarification, nothing. Just silence.
Tino's videos were posted between May 26th and June 2nd of 2025, which included images of women and minors in the background without their prior consent, which directly aligns with the statute's prohibitions.
This hit differently because of how vocal Lily's been in the past about others misgendering her, insisting even accidental mistakes need to be acknowledged and corrected. But when it came to her own slip-up, she didn't extend that same standard. Critics were quick to call it hypocritical. Because if your brand is built around educating people and holding others accountable, then why not hold yourself to the same bar? Then there was the Reddit account, the one with old comments that included off-color jokes, edgy racial remarks, and even a disturbing story involving childhood doctor games. Lily admitted that yes, the comments were hers, but she brushed it off as edgelord humor from when she was 18. She said she was angry, sad, and trying to be shocking for laughs. And while some viewers accepted that explanation, others felt like she was dodging responsibility. Again, one comment even claimed she was on a certain kind of registry, a serious allegation she flat out denied. She said people could Google it if they didn't believe her, but at the same time, she never showed any receipts, which gave her critics even more room to speculate. And when it came to claims that she seeks out misgendering moments for content, Well, she didn't exactly deny it. In fact, she all but admitted that those moments often get the most attention. And in a platform driven by clicks, that raised another tough question. Was this all by design? But then came the real curveball, a video that changed the tone entirely. After all the chaos, the rumors, the accusations, the petition, and that painfully awkward interview.
And then Florida's Attorney General, James Utterheimer, has publicly confirmed the active investigation, emphasizing a zero-tolerance stance on such privacy violations, particularly in women's restrooms.
Lily Tino dropped a surprise video. No food metaphors, no snarky tone, no live stream energy. Just a quiet, somber announcement. She's stepping away from content creation. In the video, Lily explained that the constant hate had taken a toll, not just on her, but on her family and the people around her. She said that over the years, the negativity changed the way she made content. She became more confrontational, more aggressive. Not because that was her natural state, but because she was tired of being attacked and misunderstood. And while she didn't call it rage bait, she did admit that the anger she carried started bleeding into her work. She owned up to how that shift may have alienated people. She acknowledged that her content had become more about making noise than fostering real change. But even in that moment of apparent vulnerability, she held one line firm. She's not changing who she is. She might change how she presents herself, but she won't water anything down for anyone. The response? Mixed, to say the least. Some fans praised the video as the first truly honest moment Lily's had in a long time. Others saw it as a calculated move, the classic social media cycle of provoke, deny, disappear, return. It didn't help that there was no clear plan or timeline for her return. Just a vague "I'll be back" and a request for privacy. And when a creator like Lily, who thrives on visibility, suddenly asks to disappear from view, people get suspicious. Was she really reflecting, or just regrouping? Because as many pointed out, this wasn't the first time Lily stepped back, and every time she came back louder. Which leads to the biggest question of all. Is this genuine growth or a strategic reset? So here's the million-dollar question. Is Lily Tino actually rethinking her content and taking accountability? Or is this just the start of a carefully planned comeback? Because let's be honest, the internet has seen this move before. A creator gets called out, goes quiet, posts an emotional video about needing space, and then pops back up weeks later with a rebranded image and even more buzz. And with someone like Lily, who's built a platform off of controversy and shock value, it's hard not to be skeptical. Yes, her exit video sounded more grounded.
So, this does kind of show strong leaning towards potential prosecution. Now, of course, there's a lot of complications to this, and there's a lot of things that can go back and forth, but the scrutiny online towards Lily Tino has been immense. Now, Lily Tino is not new to controversy.
She admitted her content had shifted, she acknowledged the hate was affecting her, and she even opened up about how the hurt she felt began driving the tone of her videos. But even with all of that, she still refused to directly apologize for the biggest issues: the Disney filming, the racial slur slip, the misgendering double standard. All of it was danced around, reframed, or brushed off. That's why many people think this isn't so much a retreat as it is a reset. A pause to cool down the backlash, then come back with something fresh. Maybe a new era, maybe a rebrand. But if the core behavior stays the same, if the content continues to revolve around provocation over purpose, it won't matter what the package looks like. The controversy will always come back. Still, there's a possibility that this is a turning point. Maybe the public pressure did finally break through. Maybe Lily realized that no matter how passionate her message is, it won't land if her methods are alienating the very people she's trying to reach. But if that's the case, then her next move has to be radically different. Not just less corn dogs, not just a new TikTok filter or toned down stream, but a full shift in intention and tone. Because if not, this break is just a chapter in the same old cycle, and there's still one thing that could shift it all: the apology that never came. For all the things Lily Tino said, there's one thing she didn't. And it might be the most important of all. She never truly apologized. Not for the Disney bathroom content that made other women uncomfortable, not for the accidental N-word clip, not for the edgy, racially charged Reddit comments, not for putting random people in the background of her content without their consent, and definitely not for the way she seemed to profit off being misgendered while brushing off other people's concerns. And that's the part that still stings for a lot of people, because whether you're a fan, a critic, or somewhere in between, it's hard to ignore the fact that Lily's brand is built on asking for understanding, visibility, and respect. But when the roles are reversed, when she's the one who slips up, that same energy doesn't seem to apply. And let's be clear, nobody's asking for perfection. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone says things they regret. But what separates authentic creators from performative ones is how they handle being wrong. Lily's approach: deny, deflect, double down. In one moment, she says she regrets letting anger shape her content. In the next, she implies that nothing she did was really that bad. In her exit video, she calls for empathy and grace, but still doesn't show it to the people she impacted along the way. It's a frustrating cycle, and it leaves even her supporters wondering where the line is. How many second chances does a creator get before the audience checks out for good? Because no matter how loud the backlash gets, the one thing that truly ends a controversy, the one thing that can actually help rebuild trust, is something Lily still hasn't offered: a real apology. So, here we are. Lily Tino has gone off on the haters, denied the wildest rumors, clapped back at critics, dodged some tough questions, and signed off with a tearful goodbye. For now. But even with everything said, so much still feels unsaid. And whether this break marks a new beginning, or just another page in the same old script, depends on what she does next. Because rage bait might win views. But accountability? That's what earns respect. And if Lily Tino wants a comeback that isn't built on chaos, she's going to have to face what she's been avoiding all along: